Jovan, obviously early days, and seeing him out here with the rest of the group, what are your first impressions of both his ability and just sort of in the locker room and interacting with everybody?
Well, just good to have him here. I mean, have him here and be with our team. So it's too early to really address all those things, but I know he's starting to get to meet all the guys and starting to talk to them and so forth. He's been a little bit under the weather the last 2 days. He's had a cold. That's something we've been aware of, but we're obviously pleased to have him.
What do you like about him as a player and the skill set that he brings on the field?
Well, he's very good going forward. Offensively, he's very good. He's got good pace, which is always a nice thing. And, he's even played some games as a left winger, as well for Trinidad. So, we want our outside backs to be able to get forward. And, he's somebody that can add that to our game.
Given that you're maybe considering shifting formations a little bit, how does the role of an outside back change in a 4-3-3 versus what it might be in a 4-2?
Outside backs, even in a 4-4-2, in this day and age, outside backs have become far more important, have become more complete players as well. So it's a situation of the outside backs are players who see more of the ball, who sometimes your initial buildup coming out of the back is through them. So when you look around the world and you see different outside backs, they're guys who are instrumental in their team's ability to retain possession, whether it's a Philip Lahm when he plays outside back or whether it's a Danny Alves.
Is it any more prominent of a role in a 4-3-3 though, even slightly, just in terms of their responsibility and everything else?
Yeah, it depends how we play the three up front. I think that's any system, then you take advantage of what your team has. I was looking at a team yesterday that I was like scouting in preparation, and their left back attacks a lot more than their right back. So, they're playing the same system, but it doesn't mean that you've got to be symmetrically balanced. Sometimes it's unsymmetrical.
Was he maybe the only off-season acquisition that y'all really viewed as filling an existing first 11 hole?
Say that again. Is there any?
Was he the one guy that y'all
Jones
brought in to fill a specific starting role?
We were looking for a left back. We're looking for a left back. We still have confidence in Dylan Remick, but Dylan in the last 2 seasons, has had good moments and then some moments where it hasn't been as good. I think Dylan is stronger as a result of having gone through those experiences, but we wanted one more naturally left-footed guy as left back. So we were looking for left back, and being able to acquire Jovan in a trade allowed us to fill that hole.
I'm sure you guys did plenty of background scouting on his film from last year, but especially as a guy coming into MLS from the outside, how do you think that he adjusted, and what did you see that sort of led you to believe he could transition here as well?
I mean, I think his adjustment was good to MLS, considering the first year is always more difficult just in terms of travel and everything else you go through. And obviously I talked to Frank Yallop, his old coach in Chicago. We had good conversations with people that knew him in Trinidad, and everybody was very positive about what he can do, and I think being on our team this year is going to make a difference for him as well. It's difficult sometimes when you're on a team that's not having a good run of it, as Chicago had last year.
From what you know as of now, were the fitness tests today to your liking?
Yeah, it's always, there's some that are good, there's some that are not so good, so you always take the balance. But, the most important thing coming out of the fitness test is we have a base point and we know where we work from. But overall, I was pretty pleased, with where our team was at.
Was there a single final beep winner?
There probably was. I can't remember who it was because we ran them in 2 groups. So, I know who won each group, but I don't know who's the final winner.
Is Torres the only player who is not fully healthy right now?
Torres, Craven, we're still holding out right now. Those are the 2 that are for our roster.
It seemed like a couple years ago that sort of everyone in the world was playing a 4-3-3, and maybe that has shifted in some of the leagues throughout the world. Why do you think it is that maybe some of the leagues have kind of gone back away from that system?
Have gone away from 4-3-3?
Yeah.
I don't know if the 4-3-3 was played almost exclusively in the early 70s too. I mean, there was still a 4-4-2, but a lot of teams had shifted into a 4-3-3. You had Germany play Holland in '74, and then they were both playing 4-3-3s. So it's just the ebb and flow of the game. What happens is the team succeeds offensively, and then you come up with something defensively to stop them, and then the flow goes the other way. So I think people are playing, and they're calling it a 4-2-3-1. Is that a 4-3-3 or is that a 4-2-3-1? 4-3-1. I don't know. You know, it all depends. So, you know, I mean, I was watching a team, and it was listed as a 4-4-2, but it sure looked like a 4-3-3 to me. So I don't think you can get all hung up on that, you know, and get too bogged down with that either. I think, you know, what teams are looking for is to try and counteract other teams, you know, being successful in terms of their possession of the ball. And then the question is, okay, teams are possessing the ball better, so where do you want to give them possession? Is it in the middle part of the field? Is it on the wide channels? You know, and those are decisions that you make, and put guys out there that are going to be and create a system that complements the strengths of your players.
Christian Roldan's in his second year. What do you want to see out of him, and what do you want for him as he moves into his second season?
I want to see him continue to grow and advance. You know, I think he's be the first one to tell you he played more minutes last year than he thought he would. You know, and at the end of the day, he was maybe a little disappointed because his minutes maybe waned a little bit towards the end. But when he added up and looked at the whole year, it was a pretty successful year for him. So we expect him to continue to grow and advance. He's a player that's important to us because we want to make sure that we stay away from some of the injuries that we had at the beginning of the season. We've got, you know, games fast and furious with Champions League, and so we're going to have to alternate a little bit.
What do you like best about him as a player?
I mean, he's got a great attitude, you know, for one. I mean, he's like a big sponge out there. He's willing to absorb everything you tell him. But, you know, he's also technically pretty clean. You know, he's faster than you think. And, you know, he has that ability to win balls. He has that ability to compete for the ball and find the ball and win the ball. But then he also has the technical ability and the passing ability to find connections.
Would you comment on Zach Scott coming back and the importance? What does he mean to the team?
I mean, it's great that Zach's back. You know, for us, it's really important at the beginning of the year because of Champions League, because we're looking at a lot of young center backs, and you know we've got Marshall and Evans as experienced center backs. Torres is still out, so Zach helps get us through that period of time. You know, with an experienced backup as well, and then we got to see how the young guys come. But you know, Zach's a sounder. He's a sounder through and through. Hopefully, that'll never ever change. And you know, we're happy to have him with us.
With a group of trialists and FC guys and stuff, are there any roles in the depth chart for the first team you're trying to fill with that group?
Yeah, we're looking at things, you know, for sure, and the combination of who eventually makes our second team, as well as to our guys that we think have potential to eventually push on. And you know, there's some players every year. You know, the roster changes, and you need some young guys that are going to push and try and get themselves in. So there's certainly openings on our squad, you know, depth-wise, and again, with injuries and everything else, things happen. You know, you got to have more than just 15, 16 players.